When I stopped inside that tunnel, the black car stopped too. The engine cut, the door swung open, but nobody got out. I'd been trying to get away from that car for 4 hours, and up until that moment, I was completely sure there was no one inside it. It was a Friday night in late October. I'd driven this route before. My parents live about 6 hours away, and I make the trip 2 or 3 times a year. Nothing about the drive ever felt like just long stretches of highway, a few rest stops, the same radio stations fading in and out as I moved between counties. I left around 8, later than I wanted, but I'd been stuck finishing up some work and figured I'd rather drive tonight than sit in weekend traffic the next morning. I had a full tank, a coffee from the gas station near my apartment, and a playlist I'd been saving for a long drive. The kind of night where everything feels settled and taken care of. For the first 2 hours, the highway was steady, not empty, not crowded, the normal flow of late Friday traffic thinning out gradually as the city fell behind me. Trucks in the right lane, the occasional pair of headlights passing fast in the left. The rain started somewhere around the second hour, light at first, just enough to blur the lane markings slightly and make the taillights ahead bleed red across the wet asphalt. I didn't think much about the black car the first time I saw it. It appeared in my rear view somewhere past the 3rd hour mark. I noticed it the way you notice anything on a long drive, a passing observation, then nothing. Dark-colored sedan, older model, hanging back at a consistent distance, not riding my bumper, not passing, just there. The rain was heavier by then, and the highway had thinned out significantly. There were long stretches where it was just me and that car and the road. I remember turning the radio up slightly. I remember the wipers going on the highest setting. I remember thinking I was probably just tired and reading too much into someone driving the same road I was. I stopped at a rest area around the 3 hour mark. Bathroom, stretch my legs, refill the coffee. I pulled in and parked under one of the overhead lights near the entrance. The lot was mostly empty. A couple of trucks on the far side. One family minivan near the building. I got out and the cold hit me immediately. Wet air, the smell of rain on pavement, the low hum of the highway still audible in the background. I was inside for maybe 7 minutes. When I came back out, the black car was parked 2 spots to my left. Engine off, lights off, no one visible inside. I slowed down for a second and looked at it. Dark windows, the kind that are tinted just past the legal limit. The rain was still coming down, streaking the glass. I couldn't make out any movement inside. Couldn't see a silhouette in any of the seats. I got in my car. I told myself it was a coincidence. Someone else stopping to rest. Same highway, same direction. I pulled out of the lot and got back on the road. 3 minutes later, the headlights appeared in my mirror again. I pushed it to the back of my mind for another 40 minutes. I changed lanes a few times. The car changed lanes too, always settling back into the same position behind me. Not close enough to feel aggressive, close enough to stay visible. I told myself I was pattern matching out of tiredness. When you're alone on a dark highway at midnight and your brain is running low, it starts connecting things that don't need to be connected. Same car, same direction, same speed. That's just someone going the same way I'm going. I said that to myself several times. Then I slowed down, not dramatically. I just eased off the gas and let my speed drop from about 70 to 55 over the course of a minute. The kind of slowdown that any normal driver would either match and then pass, or notice and pull around me. The black car slowed down too. Exactly. I sped back up to 7. The car matched it within seconds. I moved to the right lane. The car moved to the right lane. I held a steady 68. The gap between us never changed. Not once. My hands had gotten tight on the wheel without me noticing. I tried to think through it logic. Maybe the driver was just using cruise control, same as me. Maybe they were drowsy and following my taillights by instinct the way tired drivers do. Maybe this was all nothing. But when I thought about the rest area, the car parked 2 spots to my left, lights off, no one visible inside. The logical explanation started feeling thin. I took out my phone at the next straightaway and called my brother. He picked up after 4 rings, half asleep. I told him I was on the highway and there was a car behind me that had been following for a while. He asked how long. I said almost an hour now. He was quiet for a second, then said I should take the next exit and see if it followed. I told him I would. I kept him on the line. The next exit came up after about 12 minutes. I signaled early and took it, a long ramp curving down into a small town I had never stopped in for. A gas station, a closed diner, a stoplight at the bottom of the ramp. I pulled into the gas station lot and cut my lights. The black car took the exit. It rolled slowly down the ramp and stopped at the bottom near the light. The light was green. It didn't go through. It just sat there. I told my brother what I was seeing. He told me to call the police. I said okay, but but then the car turned around. Slowly, in the empty intersection, it made a full U-turn and went back up the ramp onto the highway. I sat there for a long time in that dark gas station lot. My brother was still on the phone. I didn't say anything for a while. The rain had eased off slightly. The closed diner across the road had a single light on inside, just a glow of something left running in the back. I waited maybe 15 minutes before I got back on the highway. I didn't see the car for the next 40 minutes. I almost convinced myself it was over. Then, at the entrance to the tunnel, the long one, about 4 kilometers, the one that cuts through the mountain pass on the last stretch before my parents' town, I saw it again. Sitting on the shoulder just before the tunnel mouth. Lights off. Engine apparently off. Just parked on the side of the road in the dark. I slowed as I passed it. I looked over as much as I could without stopping. The front seat was empty. The back seat looked empty. The car looked completely abandoned. I thought about stopping. I kept going. I pulled into the tunnel. It was maybe 2 kilometers in when I heard it. The sound of tires on wet concrete behind me, echoing off the tunnel walls. I looked in my rear view. Headlights. The black car. Back there, in the tunnel with me. Moving fast. My chest locked up. I pushed the accelerator. The car behind me accelerated too. The tunnel narrowed my options to 1, forward. I couldn't exit, couldn't turn, couldn't stop. I didn't stop. It stopped me. Somewhere near the far end of the tunnel, one of my tires blew. The car pulled hard to the right and I overcorrected and scraped the tunnel wall, coming to a stop at an angle across the right lane. My hazards came on automatically. The whole tunnel lit up in orange pulses. The black car stopped about 20 feet behind me. I sat completely still. I didn't get out. I watched the rear view. The car's headlights were on, pointing directly at mine. I could see the windshield in the mirror, but the tunnel light and the glare made it impossible to see inside. The engine cut, then the driver's door opened. I had my hand on my door handle. I had my phone in my other. I couldn't move. I just watched. Nobody got out. The door was open. The car was 20 feet behind me. Door hanging wide open, engine off. Nobody was standing beside it. I checked every mirror. The tunnel was empty in both directions except for us. There were no footsteps, no shadow moving along the wall. Nobody walked past my window. I called 911. I told them my location, the tunnel, the kilometer marker I could see painted on the wall. I told them there was a car behind me and I didn't know where the driver was. The police arrived in 11 minutes. 2 cars from the far end of the tunnel. They cleared the tunnel on foot and found the black car exactly at stop. Door still open, engine off, empty. Registered to a man from a town about 2 hours north of where we were. He had a prior record. They wouldn't tell me for what. They never found him inside the tunnel. They checked both ends, the maintenance walkway, the emergency exits. Nothing. The working theory was that he exited through one of the maintenance doors and was gone before anyone arrived. That he'd planned it. That the blowout wasn't an accident. I don't know what he wanted. I don't know how long he'd been watching before that Friday. I don't know if he was in that car the whole time and I just couldn't see him, or if the car was doing something I still can't explain. What I know is this. I check my tire pressure every single time before a night drive now, and I don't use that tunnel anymore. There's a longer route that adds 40 minutes. I take it every time. Some things aren't worth the shortcut.